everybody. Thanks for being here when you could be outside enjoying the beautiful January weather. No, it's great to have so many people here. We're sort of celebrating the close of this show today, so some of you might have seen the exhibition that's been out here in the hallway just outside the theater with EcoRove, which is part of the New Museum Screen Series. And you might know the Screen Series is a platform for new video work by emerging contemporary artists. So this has been a really special and fun show. Since October, the show's been up, and so what we've been showing is this film that you're going to be seeing today, titled Where Can We Be Found? And the kind of format of the exhibition has been, we've had the film split into two parts out in the hallway, and then we've also included two animated drawings on the third monitor up on the stairs. And these are all part of EcoRove's project, Where Can We Be Found, which is a film and kind of ongoing research project focused on the Lebanese cedar, which sort of explores the cultural and political and national uses of the Lebanese cedar, or Cedrus labani, the genealogical name, throughout history, from the Mesopotamians to the present. So what we're going to be seeing today is very special because we have Frances Chang here, who is the composer who did the soundtrack for the film, who's going to be playing live in accompaniment with the film. So let's see. The film, just to say, it's about 45 minutes. And then the animations are 7 and 11 minutes roughly, so that gives you a sense of the whole runtime. So I'll read some bios, and then I'll hand it over to you guys. So EcoRove is a collaborative multimedia research-based project examining the politics of critical zones and the livelihood of humans and non-human species who dwell in them. The initiative seeks to engage and expose a broad spectrum of voices and practices that narrate, document, and design the complex relationships that define ecosystems. And EcoRove is a collaboration between Jumanah Abbas, who sadly is not here with us today, but we do have Iyad Abou Gaida and M. Joseph. And it's a collaborative project, so there's other people involved, just to mention that. And then Frances Chang is a musician and multimedia artist living and performing in New York. Frances's practice combines use of conventional instrumentation, playful electronics, video poetry, and computer programming. Her work deals with disruptions in accepted reality and non-Western and magical frameworks, often probing the drive to understand and be understood through collective language. So the whole performance will be about an hour. And just to say also that the next Screen Series show with Seba Kalfakeo is going to be opening on Tuesday this coming week. So I encourage you to check that out as well. Okay, with that, I'll hand it over to M and Iyad.
My name is M. Joseph.
And I'm Iyad Abou Gaida.
We are 2/3 of EcoRove. We could not be more thrilled to see you all here today. Thank you for everyone's immense support of this work, not only today or over the last 3 months, but over the last 3 years in which this has been in development. Thank you for Frances for your incredible score. It's just such an integral part of this film, and I really, when we were thinking about what the music would do in this piece, we really wanted it to be a major component. It's so rare that music and music performance exists within the space of museums. So it's really special that the film could be shown here at the New Museum these last 3 months, and that we have the opportunity to do such a special performance today. So thank you, Frances. I'll do some more things and then hand it over to you. Thank you to Ian Wallace, who's been an amazing supporter of us in the run of this show, also to Massimiliano Gioni, Tello Hoy, and the other team members who have helped with tech and keeping everything up and running.
I also want to thank Mehdi Sabah for supporting us for the past 3 months and more. And I also want to thank my mom and family in South Lebanon right now, who who are going through difficult times for supporting us. And this wouldn't have happened without them when we were visiting.
I would also like to thank my amazing family who've been incredible supporters and who have really made this work such a special and meaningful exploration of our Lebanese ancestry. And yeah, I think we're going to get into it now.
So I'm going to read an untitled poem by Yasser Khanjar, who's a Julani from the Golan Heights. I'm going to read it first in Arabic, and then Am is going to read the translation in English. باسم الوردة التي أهديتها لحبيبتي، ولأن الغزال تركض الآن في المرعى، والريح تحمل الغيم كي يمطر في قلبي، ولأني أسمي شجرة التفاح أمي، وما عرفت عاشقا من بلادي لم يسرق قبلة في ظلها، ولأن تراب جسمي والعشب شعري، ولأن الأشجار رموشي والنهر دمي، ولأن الجنود قتلوا جدي وهو يحرس الحقل، ولأني أريد لابنتي أن تكون في بين أشجار التفاح يوم أموت.
In the name of the rose that I gave to my love, and also because a gazelle is now running in the pasture, and the wind carries the clouds so that it rains in my heart. Because I called the apple tree my mother, I never knew a lover from my country who didn't steal a kiss in its shadow. Because the soil is my body and grass is my hair. Because the trees are my eyelashes and the river is my blood. Because the soldiers killed my grandfather while he was guarding the field. And because I want my daughter to be among the apple trees on the day I die.
This work began as a refusal, an act of resistance to mainstream narratives around climate change, a refusal that human-induced global warming is a topic of privilege, a refusal that it only compensates green politics. These foundations are reiterated in the work's current form, which is driven to demonstrate parallels between the Lebanese cedar tree and the peoples of the Levant, which include Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Jordan.
Like the Cedars Labani itself, the peoples of this region have had their narratives stolen, distorted, and manipulated for the sake of political control and financial gain by the world's dominating powers and their companion aggressors. The violence of settler colonialism today, namely that occurring in Palestine and Lebanon, is rooted in the enduring narrative that the landscape and resources of the so-called underdeveloped world are for the taking, and as a result, their inhabitants expendable.
Above all, this work was intended to expose these intersectional issues and to emphasize that one cannot speak about climate change without addressing the systemic dispossession of territories of indigenous human and non-human beings, too often cast away as forgotten byproducts of capital success.
We hope the film and Frances Chang's accompanying performance today inspires future acts of resistance, or in the least, engenders the understanding that there is community and purpose within resistance, and the comfort that there are pathways in a future that prioritizes people and their land. Thank you.
These forces include, but are not limited to, commerce-driven deforestation, political upheaval, public policy, and tourism. Young cedars have been replanted in areas where dense forest cover once existed. Some are placed on ski slopes as nostalgic replications of woody mountaintops. Others are placed as decorative specimens besides private luxury chalets. The weaponization of cedar trees in Lebanon does not stop with ideological conversation, but continues as means of perpetuating military incentives and gentrification. Cedrus libani are used as architecture barriers, living barriers to draw border within territories. Army bases in Lebanese highlands use the trees to camouflage military infrastructure, a technique adopted by wealthy citizens who surround gated communities with Cedrus libani to mark private property. These preventative grooves disrupt the right of citizens to enter landscapes as they please and serve to further isolate communities.
I'm sorry, start again for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now?
Yes.
Great. غابة الباروك هي الأكبر بعدد الأرز وهي الأكثر عليها إقبال لأنه السيارة فيها تفوت مسافة أطول، مسافة 5 كيلومتر ضمن الغابة، بتصف بتصير تقريباً على بانوراميك فيو لساحل الخاب. الأقدم غابة مثل ما حكينا هي المعاصر. هون بعدها أكثر غابة طبيعية محافظة على طبيعتها وعلى هيدا الإطار البيئي تبعها. ما فينا نفوت بالسيارة مسافة طويلة، فينا نفوت كيلومتر نصف. وبعدين أكثر الناس محبي الهايكينج واللي بحبوا الهارد هايكينج بيجوا على غابة عين سحالة بمهري. الارتفاعات بتبلش من 1350 بتطلع لبانوراميك فيو لساحل البقاع على 1977 متر. من فوق فينا نشوف جزء كبير من لبنان من ميلة البحر، بنشوف بنايات راس بيروت إذا كان الطقس واضح، بنشوف المتن الشمالي، بنشوف البحر من جهة صيدا. من تاني ميل بنشوف من بعلبك تقريبا زحلة للحدود الفاصلة بين لبنان وسوريا، للمصنع نقطة العبور على سوريا، كل ضيع البقاع الغربي، وصولا لبحيرة القرعون اللي هي أكبر بحيرة بلبنان مثل ما كلنا نعرف عنها. كل الحيوانات اللي بيعيشوا بلبنان إذا كانت حيوانات نعتبرها مفترسة مثل الضبع، مع إنه هي الدعاية لها أكبر منها لأنه ما فيها شيء بيأذي، أو الديب أو الخنزير البري أو الثعلب أو الواوي، هود الحيوانات كلهم موجودين. أكيد كل حيوان له دوره بإعادة هالنظم الإيكولوجية ويعمل هالتوازن بالطبيعة. إحدى هالحيوانات هو السنجاب البري اللي موجود بكثرة ضمن هالغابات. السنجاب مثل ما عم نشوف بفصل الشتاء نحن بمناخ معتدل بلبنان بيجي عنا ثلج كتير، فبحاجة لمونة كل هالحيوانات الموجودين. هالسنجاب بيجي بياخد هالكوز تبع الأرز وغيرها من الأشجار أكيد، بيبحش وبيطمه بالأرض ليخليه مونة لإله بالشتوية. بس يجي الثلج بيصير صعب إنه يوصل له، فهو محل ما طامر كوز أرز رح يطلع عنا أرز جديدة على الأكيد، أو أي شجرة بيكون طامر الكوز تبعها تيرجع ياكله بالشتوية. كنا عم نحكي هون أسامي الضيعة المحيطة بالمحمية، هون من جهة الشوف وهون من جهة البقاع الغربي. هودي مداخل المحمية. هيدا أول مدخل محل ما نحن موجودين عين سحالة بمهري. وهون عندنا معاصر الشوف مثل ما حكينا. إذا you can put the camera here please to see the oldest trees. Okay, here the trees are around 3000 years old in معاصر الشوف forest. نحن للأمانة صديق موجودة وحياة موجودة قدرت موجودة أخلص عنها.
An effort to protect dwindling numbers of cedrus libani in Lebanon began after the end of the civil war in 1990, when protected cedar parks were established. Publicly advertised to build awareness around the ill state of the tree, these parks were mobilized to polish the crimes of warlords in the name of ecotourism, preservation, and economic development. These secured groves of cedars feature the majority of Lebanon's surviving cedrus libani. While these parks have garnered public support around the cedars' rehabilitation, the trampling of forest floors from repeated foot traffic greatly reduces rates of cedar regeneration and survival. Though sheltered in some regards, cedrus libani groves in Lebanon continue to and will continue to fail to self-germinate.
اياد صورة والله اربو نفك يلا صورة ايه ساعة باقي زي وقفات دي يا
Done? هي مش من هونيك
زي غادي مين اجلكم الفزعه
Changes in climate poses further challenges for the cedars. Surviving stands exist at Mediterranean-facing elevations of 1,402 to 2,195 meters, where fog and cloud cover slow rates of evaporation during warmer months. As temperatures rise, the consistency of these conditions is disrupted. Drier environments during late winter and spring not only slow the ability of cedar cones to self-germinate, but also weaken trunks, branches, roots, and structures. The same circumstances leave cedars vulnerable to invasive insects and fungi that cause tree rot. These issues are mostly prevalent for cedar stands at lower elevations with higher average temperatures, and in areas where the biodiversity of symbiotic broadleaf species like oak and pine typically protect cedar saplings during fragile states of early growth. The combination of these conditions prevents cedars from self-reproducing and from forming successful networks with the neighboring tree communities.
عاملين بيكنيك؟ والله
هيدا الكعب يكونوا كلهم هيك معلقين فيه. هيدا راسه، راس الكوم. نشيل هيدا لأنه كتير بشعة. اوكي.
بس هذا بيتخلعوا من الليل كمان ولا
هون نتركون بين 24 ل 48 ساعة ليشربوا مي. نفضي المي. هون دايما نكتب اسم السبيشي من اي منطقة واي متى عملنا لها كولكشن. هلا انا عندي بيكتشرز هن عم بفرخوا، ببعتلكن اياهم. بيكتشرز للمكان اكيد. بنسكرها كرمال ما بقى يفوت هوا عليها. هلا بنحطها على 4 degrees، على درجة حرارة 4. يبين اوكي.
is so moving and so humbling. Thank you so much. I've always thought of my family like the cedars, like the cedar trees of this beautiful land that have been transported to Colombia and transplanted there and to produce fruit. And I feel like the fruit of these cedars. So thank you so much for this warm welcome and for making me feel a part of this beautiful culture that I'm very proud of. My family is certainly very proud of. And thank you for this homage to my grandmother, my grandmother's family, and my dad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I wanna read these beautiful words from one of my favorite Lebanese poet, Gibran. They're very inspiring words. For man is happy only in his aspiration to the heights. When he attains his goal, he cools and longs for other distant flights.
That's my dance stream. That's my dream.
represents the cedar tree, which stands for Lebanon's land and resilience. The bodysuit is made of metal, characterizing a female warrior who believes in bringing strength to a war-torn country. It's refreshing to see a warrior tree like Lebanon.
Hello and welcome aboard Middle East Airlines.
طيران الشرق الأوسط يرحب بكم. نبدأ رحلتنا بإلقاء نظرة على إرشادات السلامة.
Before we take off, we're going to take you on a different kind of journey. So listen carefully to the safety instructions.
نرجو منكم الإصغاء.
I'm going to do something more exciting, and I'm going to create a forest of these cedar of Lebanon. It is much admired, and many people were always after it. So I finally managed to source some cedar of Lebanon, which I got to grow absolutely tall. So when you see these bamboo canes or bamboo sticks on these trees, they are there for a purpose. They are grown up, these bamboo sticks, so that the tree grows absolutely straight. And if they're not straight, it's not so suitable for a forest. So before I do anything else, I'll just give you a quick rundown as to how I proceed with these. I'm going to make a group of about 9. Or, if I'm superstitious, I'll use the lucky number 8 in Chinese.
Writer and journalist Robert Fisk once said, "Cedars know the history of the earth better than history itself," a proverb in line with many archival accounts that cast the Lebanese cedar tree as a representation of immortality and eternal life. Despite the consistency of this historical tenor, myths and narratives about this sublime evergreen conifer as thriving, abundant, certain, and everlasting have been told and retold differently by humans. While both past and present stories describe wide expanses of cedars, present-day forests exist only as isolated groves of remaining Cedrus libani. All the while, narratives of the cedar's prevalence hold pervasive association within the political and social spheres of present-day Lebanon. In the wake of Mount Lebanon's deforestation since ancient times, steady erasure of the cedar's geographical location continues today. The construction of various infrastructures is destroying the tree and its surrounding ecosystems, endangering neighboring plants and animals to the brink of extinction. In Tablet 5 of the Epic of Gilgamesh, Humbaba, mythical guardian of the cedar forest, is slain by Gilgamesh and his comrade Enkidu, who proceed to cut down the forest as a prize of victory. This glorification of ecological destruction initiated a legitimizing narrative in which human exploitation and consumption of nature as a resource assumes precedence over environmental conservation. At the moment of its erasure, the cedar was reincarnated as a relic of profit-driven success, deprived of its agency, its rights, and history. Instead, a contagion of dogmatism, of power and leverage, of extractive industries, and of mass production infects Lebanon's Cedrus libani. Most recently, a perpetual infatuation with the cedar as a static image designated the tree as a national symbol. It is featured as a centerpiece on the country's flag and across the visual branding of its financial and national institutions. This fixed visual representation of the Lebanese cedar has been adopted by far-right and fascist parties within Lebanon to perpetuate exclusionary narratives of xenophobia and Lebanese supremacy. While the far-right has objectified the cedar and has distorted its image for sectarian purposes, opposition parties, the liberal left, pan-Arab, and pan-Syrian contingencies, depict the Cedrus libani as a symbol of compassion and unity. Throughout the cedar's lifespan, victories and failures of the nation-state have been built on an unevolving image, one resolute representation of an anonymous tree, a civic emblem used to craft the illusion of a distinct Lebanese identity. In the Old and New Testaments, the Lebanese cedar is mentioned frequently as it carries ideological and spiritual significance. Increasingly, the Maronite Church has focused on the Cedrus Libani as a token of higher divinity through multiple visual and physical manifestations. An organ of class rule and the creation of order in Lebanon, the Maronite Church engages the cedar as a symbol of power, salvation, and higher divinity. Within fabricated and cloistered worlds, the Cedrus Libani is trapped by divisive beliefs and religious allegories. Narratives around the Lebanese cedar extend beyond being ideological and exist as systemic guides for extractive industries prone to and designed by such forms of manipulation. The presence of colonial authorities in Lebanon amplified the ongoing destruction of the Cedrus Libani's habitat. The French colonial regime consolidated its power and solidified its presence by making Lebanese citizens feel French through the construction of luxury ski resorts, sports competitions, and other Western venues of consumer recreation. The emphasis was not on economic prosperity, but on engendering a Lebanese community reliant upon the idea of possessing an identité française. This control of the cedar's current and future territories as a means of creating different societies within Lebanon not only objectified the tree as an attraction, but also implicated citizens as schismatic pawns in a colonial marketing strategy aimed at gaining power over the demographics of Lebanon. Also resurfaces in material cultures. As a decorative ornament, the image of the Lebanese cedar is recycled on various consumer products and objects. The Cedrus Libani has no choice other than to surrender as a commodity. The tree is stripped of all value beyond monetary worth, yet another victim of Homo economicus. Denied its territorial rights, the cedar is reduced to enforce political, religious, imperialistic and touristic, extractive and consumer applications. At the start of the Holocene, the Lebanese cedar, Cedrus Libani, populated the mountains of the eastern Mediterranean coast. Various civilizations prized the tree as an excellent source of timber sought after for its distinct biological characteristics. The evergreen's aroma and remarkable resistance to decay and invasion by insects greatly increased its value as a resource for trade. Extracted for thousands of years for the purpose of commerce and exchange, the Cedrus Libani is almost entirely deforested in present-day Lebanon, found only in isolated groves and government-protected nature reserves. The Phoenicians, down the Lebanese cedar. The Phoenicians were thalassocratic inhabitants that are known to have historically established many of the first city-states along the eastern Mediterranean coast. They took advantage of the Cedrus libani as a valuable asset, developing trade networks connecting lands, seas, and early municipalities to sell cedar wood. Due to its desirability, Cedrus libani timber became a valuable commodity and was purchased en masse by neighboring civilizations and markets across the Mediterranean, extending as far as modern-day Morocco and Spain. Mesopotamia. The Neo-Assyrian Empire solidified its trading relations with the Phoenicians, acquiring large amounts of cedar wood for the construction of their kingdom. King Assur-Nasirpal II ordered Cedrus libani timber, among other types of wood, to build himself monumental palaces. The inscription upon Assur-Nasirpal's palace mentions how the cedar and other trees were used for its construction. In addition to its use for the construction of terraced buildings, Cedrus libani timber was also used for small-scale goods, including furniture, objects, reliefs, and sculptures. Egyptians. Despite their trading relations with the Phoenicians, the ancient Egyptian empire's eventual conquest of Phoenician lands and resources meant direct access to cedar forests. The Cedrus libani held a significant role in ancient Egypt's religion and economy. Cedar wood was used for the construction of temples and shrines, and its extracted resin in the ritual of mummification. Lebanese cedar's powerful enzymatic, antibacterial, and fungal properties prevent decay and enable corpse preservation for thousands of years. Druze and Christian settlements. Centuries later, Druze settlements and Christian communities around Mount Lebanon continued to cut down the Lebanese cedar, among other native species, to clear the land for new villages and agriculture, and to construct homes. Inside these domestic spaces, Cedrus libani wood was used as a fuel to heat homes, and for its preservation properties to conserve food and other perishables. Ottomans. During the early 20th century, Ottoman sultans ordered cedar forested lands to be cleared for the purpose of constructing the Hejaz Railway, which extended from Damascus to Medina, with branch lines to Haifa on the Mediterranean Sea. Cedrus libani wood was also used to fuel the railway's trains and for maintenance purposes. Deforestation of the Lebanese cedar continued to provide for the early construction phase of the Aleppo-Baghdad Railroad. British Mandate of Palestine. Despite Queen Victoria's alleged concerns to protect Cedrus libani for their biblical importance, exercised through the construction of a stone wall around the Cedars of God forest, the destruction of the Lebanese cedar for imperialist purposes was continued by the British Empire. Their Haifa-Beirut-Tripoli Railway, a network of military and trade infrastructure, helped to cement English dominance in the region. They also used Lebanese cedar wood for the railway's construction and to power trains and building machinery. Jumblat's feudal domain. After the Lebanese Civil War, Walid Jumblat, a Lebanese Druze politician and notorious warlord, used conservation efforts around dwindling numbers of Cedrus libani to greenwash his crimes. Monopolizing upon his established rule of the Shuf cedar forest in the wake of civil conflict, he founded the Shuf Biosphere, one of Lebanon's largest nature preserves and expanses of Lebanese cedars, under a public agenda of ecological conservation and measures of post-Civil War development. Landmines were planted around the cedars as a method of protecting the trees, which served to isolate and restrict entry to forests and multiplied the number of military zones. center-right Christian parliamentary group, appointed herself as the protector of the Cedars of God forest. Her conservation efforts around the Cedars Lebanon are regarded by many as diversion techniques to conceal the crimes of her husband, Samir Jaja, executed against the Lebanese and Palestinian civilians. Not only were her actions to protect the tree selective towards the Christian communities, but they also further contributed to the cedar's demise. As a means of boosting the country's economy, cedar preserves were open to the public without regulation, allowing for destructive efforts of uncontrolled visitor traffic. Jaja herself ordered for a hill to be bulldozed within the Cedars of God forest, to flatten lands and make space for a stage to host the Cedars International Festival, a Lebanese cedar-themed music event. In the wake of the festival, this patch of landscape lays barren, unable to host Cedrus libani or other plant species.